Revolutionary greetings. My name is Precious Mbombela, and today we'll be unpacking SASCO's 2025 discussion document on gender, sexuality, and transformation. This document confronts one of the deepest structural challenges in our institutions, the persistence of patriarchy, gender-based violence, queerphobia, and exclusion across our institutions. It sets out the ideological foundations, strategic tasks, and the intervention needed to build campuses that are safe, inclusive, and rooted in the dignity of all students. Moving on to the first section of this document, we discuss why does this document exist. This document begins by recognizing that South Africa's higher education landscape remains shaped by colonial and patriarchal foundations. Even three decades into democracy, women, queer students, trans and non-binary people, and students living with disabilities continue to experience discrimination, harassment, violence, and exclusion. Universities reproduce the unequal structures of society through both their formal and informal structures. Making transformation is not only necessary, but it is urgent. SASCO's mandate is clear: to build a just, democratic, decolonized education system where gender justice and queer inclusion are not just additional concepts, but are central pillars of transformation. The second section of this document deals with the ideological framework. This document draws from feminist theory, queer theory, and intersectionality to explain how systems of oppression overlap. It highlights that patriarchy, capitalism, racism, queerphobia, and albinism do not operate separately, but enforce one another. Intersectionality becomes a key lens, understanding that a Black woman student, a queer man from the rural area, and a trans student living with disability navigate differently, but are interconnected. Using this framework, SASCO affirms that gender, sexuality, struggles are not soft issues or side issues. They are political, structural, and central to the broader socialist struggle for human liberation. Section 3 of this document deals with campus realities. The document outlines the current crises on campus. Gender-based violence remains widespread, normalized, and underreported. Many institutions lack accessible and survivor-centered reporting mechanisms. Queer spaces remain unsafe with persistent homophobic and transphobic harassment. Residences often enforce patriarchal rules, heteronormative norms, and discriminatory practices. The representation of women, queer students, and persons with disabilities in leadership, academia, and governance remains limited. Mental health support is inadequate, especially for survivors of trauma, LGBTQIA+ students facing rejection. These realities form the basis of SASCO's call for systematic transformation and not isolated interventions. So moving on to the fourth section of this document, this section speaks on transformation objectives. So we have 6 objectives. The first one being safety and protection. It speaks about building a zero-tolerance environment against GBV, harassment, and queerphobia. It is backed by enforceable policies and real institutional accountability. Moving on to the second one, it's inclusive policies and governance. This speaks on ensuring that all institutions adopt gender-affirming, disability-inclusive, and queer-inclusive housing and anti-discriminatory framework. The third one is curriculum transformation. It's embedded in feminist, Africanist, and queer scholarships across faculties, challenging Eurocentric, patriarchal, heteronormative knowledge systems. Right at back. The third one being curriculum transformation. This is embedded in feminist, Africanist, and queer scholarship across faculties, challenging Eurocentric, patriarchal, and heteronormative knowledge systems. The fourth one is health and well-being. This one speaks on expanding access to trauma counseling, reproductive health services, HIV prevention, transition-related support, and mental health care. The fifth one is representation and leadership. This one speaks about increasing participation of women, queer persons, and differently abled students in SRC, councils, academic forums, and student structures. Moving on to the last one, which is campus culture change. This one speaks about transforming the hidden curriculum, the informal cultures, traditions, and practices that reinforce patriarchy and exclusion. Section 5 of this document speaks on programs and implementation strategies. To turn these principles into action, the document outlines a campus-by-campus implementation plan. It proposes that there should be establishing gender and queer justice committees within SRCs and student governance, integrating gender and queer political education into SASCO programs, branch schools, and recruitment processes, expanding peer support networks and survivor advocacy teams, ensuring that every institution has a functional GBV unit with trained staff, proper budget allocation, introducing gender-neutral residences and reforming residence codes that enforce outdated patriarchal norms, running national and campus-based campaigns against GBV, rape culture, and queerphobia, monitoring transformation indicators annually with clear accountability mechanisms. This strategy positions SASCO not just as an advocacy organization, but as a driver for institutional transformation. Moving on to the sixth section of the discussion document, now we speak of the role of allies and the broader struggle. The document emphasizes that gender justice is not a struggle for women alone, and queer liberation is not a struggle for queer people alone. Allies, particularly men, must take responsibility for dismantling harmful practices, challenging patriarchal behaviors, and actively supporting survivor-centered processes. The document grounds this work within the National Democratic Revolution. It argues that gender and queer justice is inseparable from the fight for socialism, decolonization, and economic liberation. In conclusion, the Gender, Sexuality, and Transformation discussion document offers a comprehensive political, ideological, programmatic roadmap. It challenges SASCO, institutions, and the broader society to build campuses free of fear, violence, and exclusion. It recognizes that liberation is impossible while patriarchy and queerphobia is amongst us. It calls on all of us, students, leaders, activists, and institutions to build higher education system where everyone, regardless of gender identity, sexuality, class, race, or ability, can exist, learn, and lead with dignity. The message is clear. Transformation is not complete until gender, justice, and queer liberation are fully realized. Build a charter, build a branch.